For centuries, the Nile River has been the beating heart of Africa. It has nourished civilians, powered economies, and sparked more than its fair share of disputes. But today, high on the Blue Nile in Ethiopia, a new chapter is being written. A chapter built not with words, but with concrete steel and unstoppable ambition. This is the story of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, Africa's biggest hydroelectric dam, a project so massive it has redefined the Nile River. But to understand why Ethiopia dared to build a dam of this scale, we need to start with a problem. Imagine a country of more than 120 million people, but almost half of them living in the dark. A country blessed with roaring rivers, yet struggling to turn that power into electricity. That was Ethiopia. Before the GERD, only a fraction of Ethiopians had access to reliable electricity. Blackouts were common, industry stalled, rural communities lived without light, and students studied under smoky kerosene lamps. In a nation with some of the fastest population growth in Africa, the demand for power was surging, but supply was crawling. Ethiopia's leaders knew this wasn't just an inconvenience. It was a national crisis. Without electricity, factories couldn't run, jobs couldn't be created, and the dream of becoming a middle-income country will remain just that, a dream. The bigger picture, Africa itself was and still is the continent of energy poverty. Over 600 million people across Africa live without access to electricity. While other parts of the world raced forward with industrial revolutions, Africa was held back by the lack of power. And then there was the Nile, the mighty river that flows through 11 countries, a lifeline for millions. Egypt relied on it almost entirely. Sudan depended on it heavily. Ethiopia, sitting at the source of the Blue Nile, contributed nearly 85% of its waters, but reaped very little benefit. For generations, Ethiopia watched the Nile power flow northwards while its own people remained in the dark. And so the question became inevitable. What if Ethiopia could finally harness the Nile for itself? In 2011, Ethiopia unveiled a bold answer, the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. It wasn't just another infrastructure project. This was the largest dam ever attempted in Africa, a structure that would dwarf everything built before it on the continent. Picture this. A dam rising 145 meters high and stretching 1.8 kilometers across the Blue Nile. Behind it, a reservoir so vast it could hold 74 billion cubic meters of water, almost equal to the entire annual flow of the Nile itself. At full capacity, the GERD is designed to generate over 5,000 megawatts of electricity. To put that in perspective, that's more power than Kenya's entire current installed capacity. But Ethiopia faced a massive challenge: money. Building a dam of this scale required over $5 billion. International lenders hesitated. Political pressure mounted, so Ethiopia turned inward. The government issued bonds, civil servants donated a portion of their salaries, ordinary Ethiopians contributed what they could. Farmers, teachers, businessmen, they all pitched in. For once, a mega project wasn't just financed by the state or foreign investors. It was a people's project, a dam literally built on national pride. And then came the engineering. Thousands of workers, engineers, and specialists labored day and night in one of the most ambitious construction efforts Africa had ever seen. Turbines were installed, walls rose, and slowly the dream began to take shape. By the mid-2010s, the concrete giant was impossible to ignore. Satellite images captured its progress. Neighboring countries watched. Egypt and Sudan voiced concerns about water flow, sparking years of negotiations, heated debates, and even threats of conflict. But inside Ethiopia, the mood was different. The GERD became a symbol of hope, resilience, and defiance. No matter the noise outside, the dam pressed forward. By 2020, the first filling of the reservoir began. By 2022, the first turbines were switched on, sending electricity surging into Ethiopia's grid for the first time. And now, in 2025, the GERD stands inaugurated, a completed vision, a concrete giant ready to reshape Africa's energy future. So, What does Africa's biggest dam mean for Ethiopia, for its neighbors, and for the continent? First, electricity. At full capacity, the GERD will generate more than 5,000 megawatts of power, enough to light up tens of millions of homes. For Ethiopia, this is nothing short of revolutionary. Reliable power will supercharge industries, attract investment, and lift millions out of poverty. Second, energy exports. Ethiopia isn't building this dam just for itself. Deals are in motion to export electricity to Sudan, Djibouti, and Kenya through regional power ports. For Kenya, this means access to cheaper, reliable hydropower to complement its own geothermal and wind resources. In the future, the lights in Nairobi, Mombasa, and Kisumu could partly be powered by Ethiopian water. Third, independence. For decades, Ethiopia was known as a land of famine and aid dependency. The GERD flipped the script. It transformed Ethiopia into a potential energy power, the battery of East Africa. That kind of self-reliance was not just greed, but national pride. Fourth, Africa's infrastructure map. Until now, the Aswan Dam in Egypt and the Kariba Dam between Zambia and Zimbabwe held the spotlight. The GERD now takes its place above them, symbolizing a new era of African mega-projects. Tells the world that Africa is not just catching up, it's building its own landmarks of progress. Of course, challenges remain. Egypt fears reduced water flow. Sudan has voiced mixed concerns. Climate change adds uncertainty. These disputes aren't going away overnight, but for Ethiopia, the dam is not negotiable. It's already here, already operational, already transforming lives. Zooming out, the impact goes beyond Ethiopia or the Nile Basin. The GERD is a continental statement. Africa can dream big, fund big, and build big on its own terms. The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam is more than a wall of concrete. It's a story of ambition rising against the odds. It's the tale of nations that refuse to wait for permission to develop, and a continent proving that the future can be shaped right here at home. From the villages of Ethiopia to the bustling city of Kenya, from the desert of Sudan to the fertile plains of Egypt, the Nile continues to flow. But today, it flows through a new symbol of Africa's renaissance, a dam that doesn't just generate electricity, it generates hope, pride, and a new vision for what Africa. This is the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, Africa's biggest, boldest step into the future. If you enjoyed watching this video and want to see more stories on Africa's biggest infrastructure projects, don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. And while you're at it, tap the notification bell so you never miss our next upload.